What up, paintball world? This is your guy, Captain Prophet Wolf from 106K Philly chapter. And here I have my guy, Coyote Force.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show today. I know we're going to continue our Instagram live from the other day, so look forward
Yes,
to
sir.
it.
Yes, sir. But, glad to have you on my podcast, brother. I seen a lot of great videos, a lot of great pictures of you out where you're at. And it's dope, man. Pretty much dope.
I
But
can't
before
wait to
we,
have you, the one shot, one kill guys out. I can't wait to have
yeah,
you out. I
yeah,
think we're going to get together during 0 hours, so
yeah.
that's my big coming out there to the New York area, and I'm going to bring a couple of guys with me. So I look forward to that.
Yeah, yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's going to be a whole different experience because
Yeah,
I believe Wolf Paintball is coming out there. I'm trying to get Nightmare to come out there, so yeah, it's going to be a pretty dope event.
I think you're going to have people from legit all over the world.
Yeah,
It's going to be
yeah.
another level. Are they having a helicopter? I think I heard something about that too.
I would hope so. If they are, I'm paying for that to get in there and shoot. So yeah, that would be pretty much dope. I actually about to great order me some cameras and GoPros and stuff. So yeah, I'm down for that.
You have lots of batteries.
Yeah.
Way to charge them.
Wait, man, let's get started. Before we get started though, I always tell everyone, give me a small intro of, who they are and what did the name come from, their call sign name. So I know for you, go by or your squad is the Coyote Force.
Yeah, Coyoteforce.
Coyote
So
Force.
a little background on me. I just go by my last name. That's my call name, Cotton.
Cotton.
Um,
Okay.
this thing, getting Coyoteforce off the ground really was kind of sparked by me and my brother. We lost our dad back in 2013, and
Sorry for your loss.
we played a lot of paintball with him and my older stepbrother. And about 2 years ago, we started to get back in the paintball scene because we hadn't played in years. We hadn't played since like 2005 or something like that.
Mm.
And the more we started getting into it, we started running into different groups of people, right, that are organizing teams. And we were like, hey, we want to be a part of a team, and we want to have some organized play because we didn't like going to just open plays. My brother and I were both super competitive, so we wanted to go out there and what I'm saying, like kind of take the field with some organization. And eventually we kind of floated around different groups, and we decided let's just go ahead and like start our own thing. And that's kind of where Coyoteforce was born. Coyotes are like a foundational part of basically the Indiana area, so they're an animal that's everywhere.
Yeah.
But they're also really important to my family because my father was full Native American, so he's a Seneca Indian, and the coyote in traditional Native culture is a spirit walker. So they're able to go between two different realms. And so for me and my brother, it's significant in that way because it's like kind of represents our father, right? And the coyote is always like he's a jester and a
Yeah.
fun maker, and he loves to have fun, but he
Mm.
also stands for something, right? He's always like a central figure or a pivotal figure in Native culture. So that's where the name kind of came from. Coyoteforce is all about, getting guys together to have a good time, but also getting guys together to develop into better, men, and provide them a support network and provide them, again, just like something to do. I think we all want to latch onto or have a brotherhood or a community, and that's kind of what it is. So yeah, kind of the high level feedback. And then, I'm the organizer, the main organizer, but I have a number of my friends now that help me with kind of the day to day. So it's not just me. It's not a one man show, but I have a couple other guys helping me out. So it's kind of
Wow.
high level.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, that's wow. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, it has a lot of, like I said, it has a lot of
Yeah.
connections. And the nonprofit. So we set up a nonprofit. It's called Coyote Way, and a big part of that is giving back to the community. So last year we did a Relay for Life. We did a charity MagFed only game, and we raised, it was like $300, but it was pretty good for only having like 15, 16 people turn out. I was really happy with that between the donations and stuff. And so, yeah, Coyote Way, the nonprofit, that's what the Coyoteforce kind of feeds into. And then all these guys that I have playing with me, right, we can donate our time and we can go out and help the community, and we can actually really kind of rally them to not just, give money, but actually show up and maybe serve at a food kitchen and things like that, right? We want to get out in the community and like help help our community. And
Yeah.
this goes right in line with kind of what we were going to talk about today, which is character, right? And character development. So,
Man, that's dope. I can relate, man, to a lot what you're saying right now. That's crazy. I just want to share a small story. Because my father passed in 2016, and I was playing paintball like a little bit before then. Every once, I think like once a year. Go out with friends and family, of course. But that character had to kick in after a while, and I was searching for my identity as a man. Because once your dad passed, it's like, what you gonna do?
yeah, because you have a lot of like invested energy and
Yeah,
trying to, please your dad or talk to your dad, or he's the person that kind of guides you and sets you on the rails,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And so I look at my situation as like when a superhero, lose a parent. Like for example, I'm gonna use Batman. His mom and dad passed away. It was like he had to search for himself. Like he didn't know who he was. He had to find his way back to his home. And back in his home, he said, "Man, like I want to help Gotham. Like I want to be this knight. I want to help the people. I want to stop this crime. It's like there's so much stuff he wanted to stop doing. And he looked at like his mother and father was already trying that, but he could make a
Yeah.
big change himself. And so when I look at that story, Batman story, I think of myself as like a hero. It's like, man, your people need you. Like everyone needs you. So it's like you
Yeah, I
got to
mean,
be
it's
there.
your time. It's like next man up, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you become the man of the family, and in a lot of respects, and many times
yeah,
this happens, and that's the thing is there's no more dad, and that leaves a hole. I think you're talking about, a little bit of this, like you want to step up in that void. Uh,
yeah,
I don't know what it is too. It's like almost a little bit of like you're trying to do it in the memory of those that have gone before you, right? And
yeah,
that's definitely how I feel with what I'm doing, right? There's a mission here. It's more
mm,
than just paintball, right? And every time
yeah,
I go out on that field, I remember that. I went to Fulda Gap this year. We drove, lots of hours down there. It was a huge investment in time and money and getting the guys down there. And I'm on the field and I'm thinking, how cool would it have been? How cool would my dad have thought that this would have been, this experience, right?
yeah.
Um, and so you can always kind of check yourself, but it's something that we shared. And so I get you there.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's part of the reason why, this character of development kicks in. We have to do what we have to do in order to make them proud. And I'll never forget, it was a deacon at my church who actually wanted to have a paintball team. Like he always wanted like a paintball team. And so, we talked about that for years. And, one of the years he passed was 2018 is when he passed. Well, no, I'm sorry. It was actually 20. No, it was 2020. It was 2020 during COVID. He had just passed, and man, I was like crushed because I just started getting the paintball. I just started to, try to get a feel for this, and I'm
And
just
he would
like,
have thought that's so cool and been all about it, I'm sure.
yeah,
Right.
and just having a team, like just having a brotherhood, because he always wanted that brotherhood. And I must speak on brotherhood real quick because having a brotherhood, it builds a better culture, it builds a relationship with other people, and you're bonding with your brothers who's on that paintball field, on and off the paintball field, who are looking just to, what's the word for it? It's like they're looking for love. Like they're
Yeah.
looking for that big brother or that little brother to love them, you know? And that's kind of how the Deacon Dan, rest in peace to him. He's the one that wanted that for me, and when he passed away, it just crushed me. But you know what? I kept pushing, I kept going, and now that I am where I'm at. It's a blessing, and now I see the full vision that he had. So I took it and I ran with that.
Yeah. I think it's like you speak about, the deacon, and they all have a flock, right? And you think about ways to get people involved. Like
Yeah.
my dad was also a pastor. And so it's kind of crazy. My dad was a pastor, African Methodist Episcopal pastor.
Okay.
And it was the same situation. Like, how do we get people involved that are in the community that maybe they're not like naturally have an affinity towards going to church
Yeah.
or being involved with the church and like giving back to it? And he was
Yeah.
always about like, can we have games? Can we like invite people out for, the festival or a jubilee or something like that to get people out and do a cornhole tournament, right?
Yeah.
Football, pick up football, pick up basketball league, like all that stuff creates community. And I think that's what, again, going back to the brotherhood, like it's bigger than paintball. Paintball is just an organizing activity. It gives us something fun to go do and compete against, and other people. But it could be, like I said, basketball or soccer or anything like that. Any sport kind of bring us together. Let us use our bodies to move, right? I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah.
Just like take care of each other. And then once you're part of that crew or that group of people, you want to do good for them, and they lift you up. And there's that saying, like, you're the sum of all the people that you surround yourself with, right? So if you're surrounding yourself with guys that are lifting each other up and trying to help and pick each other up, that everybody's going to float to the top, right? And everybody's going to have that good kind of influence and energy around the whole crew. So,
yeah, 100%, 100%. I agree with what you're saying, and that's when character development has to come into place, because in order for us to find who we are, we have to be attached to character. And how do we build character? We have to stay in that place.
And whatever moral system you're using to establish that, right? A lot of people look at the Bible.
Yeah.
Right. The Bible has a great set of like foundational morals. I think if people think about being a good person, they're like, oh, we'll just do what the Bible says. You and I both know that's not like totally true. And there are people that go against that. But it really does, if you keep it simple, it is do the right thing.
Yeah.
Every day, if you're doing the right thing, it's beautifully simple, because if you're trying to make that right decision in that moment, it's both going to build character, but it's also going to be the way that you become your character, right? If you're, I think we talked about this in the preview and the live, but like sometimes making those right or good decisions, it's the hardest freaking decision, or it's the one that's going to cause you personally the most pain and suffering. We were talking about this before the call kicked off, right? Like it's going to build your character, because it's going to really challenge you. And I think that's people back to the brotherhood. That's why I love having these guys around me, because they've found that if they have an opportunity to be challenged, this is an environment that they can be accepted as a failure, and it's going to be safe, right? You tried something, you failed. That's fine, right? You learned from it. Let's move on, right? Don't be down on yourself. Like, let's get back at it and try to continue to find those opportunities. It's a lot harder to do that when you're in a void, right? When you fail and you're in a void and you have that negative self-talk and you're in a bad place and don't have anybody to help you out, that's when things go south and sour, right?
No, there's a quote that I love to say now that we have this discussion. This quote is, character defines on the days when you don't feel like doing what you once said you was going to do, long after the mood that you set it in. And I'm so reminded of this quote every time we have a conversation about character development, because on the days where we picked that we're going to do this, and for example, I can say, you know what, today's going to be the day that I work out. I'm not going to play around with this. I'm really going to work out. And so when that day come, I say, you know what, let me just knock out 10 push-ups, for a start. I just might do a good 8. It's like, man, come on, I got 2 more to go.
Yep.
But your arm is so tired because you did all this other work. You running, you jogging, you hitting the bag. You're doing all this cardio work, and it's like, I just need 2 more push-ups and I'm good. But then you ask yourself, man, if you couldn't do those 2 push-ups, then how you expect to survive? How are you expecting to keep going? That's how I look at it.
And what about when you choose not to do them? You're like, oh, nobody else will see. Well, the only person holding yourself accountable is you, right? And you're the only one that knows that you failed yourself. I don't think there's a greater sting than that. And me personally, like when that type of stuff happens, and I'm like trying, my willpower is saying choose the easy route.
Yeah.
Because you're like, nobody's watching, right? I can just, I don't need to do those 2 extra ones. How much better does it feel when you go ahead and do them though? You're like, I'm going to lay here until I can actually physically push myself through those last 2, right?
Yeah.
You feel so much more accomplished.
Because if you sit up there and you waste time like that, I mean, we all been in a situation where, like, you know what, ain't nobody looking. I'm just going to keep it pushing. I'm going to keep going. But you're telling yourself that you can't be trusted.
Yeah.
that you can't trust yourself. And it's like, if you can't trust yourself, what if someday somebody is watching you and they're just watching to see if you're going to stay true to what you said you was going to do, or stay true to your character, and they see that you're being a lie, that you're even feeding them lies, or you're lying to yourself, they can't trust you.
Oh, 100%, man. I love that because it's something that I think I mentioned that I'm also a coach. I coach track and field, and
Yeah,
this is not unique to me. This is something that I borrowed from Coach Clyde Morgan, wonderful coach, amazing award-winning national coach. He's my mentor, and he has this thing called man-made adversity, MMA. I'm going to give him a little MMA, man-made
yeah,
adversity. He calls it that. So
yeah,
he'll do silly things like, all right, we're going to take our our number 3 4x4 runner, 400
yeah.
guy, and we're going to put him as an anchor, and we're going to make him work a little bit and sweat. And he's going to tell his first 2 guys that usually get off to a good run, let's have a bad day. You're
Mm,
going to have a bad day, and you're not going to give him the lead that he's used to, right? And so he's creating a little man-made adversity, but it's exactly that type of mentality where it's like, let's create a little MMA to see how they react. And
yeah,
in that fire or that cauldron of fighting themselves, they grow. And so it's a very MMA, man-made adversity. It's an extremely effective character development. I've seen it over the years take guys that were weak-minded, negative self-talk, and develop themselves, right? Because it's not just about throwing MMA at them, but it's after the fact. You have to have a coach or somebody there that's going to support you, and that's where the brotherhood comes in, right?
mm,
I gave you a little MMA. You responded to that challenge, and I want to tell you, like, I was watching you, right? We knew that was going to happen. So
yeah,
creating those, again, that's like I said, a character development tactic. Like if you're a coach or a leader of people, you don't want to be torturing people, right? MMA is not about torturing or making somebody suffer. It really is about getting them in that little moment of, nobody's watching. What do they do when nobody's watching, right? That type of thing.
mm.
Um, and I love that. I think it's, again, a great player and personal development tool, MMA.
MMA, I like that. I never actually thought about that. That's crazy.
And we'll
Because
do it. I've done it.
yeah,
I'm going to admit I've done it to guys on my
yeah,
team. Like when we're out playing,
yeah,
I'll be like, "Hey, I'm going to cover you, or I'm going to try to take this position, and I need you to watch me as I do it." Or, "Hey, follow me, right? Come with me."
mm,
And then I might ditch on them a little bit, right? I might see what they do in that moment.
yeah,
Do they have a moment of clarity and kind of go with it,
yeah,
and not expect me to do it all for them, all the heavy lifting? And I think that's we can do it on the field, right, guys?
mm. And you know what? I've been in situations like that, so I can definitely relate because you know you want to know if somebody could trust you, or you want to know if you could trust them. So it's like vice versa, and that's when and I always talk about character on the field because character is very important when you're on that field. It's like exposure. It's either you're going to expose yourself or someone is going to expose you.
Oh yeah,
And for me, I'm always looking at how people respond, react to a situation. I'm always looking how people in leadership mode. I'm always looking at how people are, when going together with team. And me, I always been good with teammates. I always been good with 2-man team, 3-man team, and all the way up there 6-man team. And the most thing I love about people that as part of my squad is that we all have that trust. We all have that wolf mentality, that dog mentality, and it's like we're so strong in that to the point where that bond can't be broken.
it's like one hive mind, and you all know
Yeah,
kind of what the next move is going to be, and you
yeah,
know how each other plays, and so you can play off of it, right? You
yeah,
have guys that are strong at certain things, and you can basically predict how it's going to play out before it even happens, right? But
yeah,
that only works because it's based on trust, like that they are there, they're engaged, they are paying attention to what you're doing, right? And that you can trust them to do
yeah,
that. Like they're invested in what you're doing as well, right?
yeah. And I know for me, a few years back, a lot of people used to question, like, why are you always alone? Like, why are you called this lone wolf? And I thought it was pretty funny at first because they questioned like Lone Wolf. I said, "You don't understand? You don't get it?" I said, "Lone Wolf is a character who's alone, and it's not because he's selfish. It's because he know how to maneuver. He know how to move. He know how to communicate. He know how to communicate to himself." I said, "Lone Wolf character is all about on how you respond when you have multiple enemies coming your way."
Mhm.
And for me, I've been in situations where I had 12 guys coming at me, 10 guys coming at me. Like I had different groups of guys coming at me, and it's how you respond. And the way I respond is I'm gonna hold it down. Like I'll never forget, it was one time I had this one dude, he had a dive down, he had a box rotor on it, and he was just shooting at me, and I didn't move. I did not move. I held my ground, and the fact that he had 4 or 5 guys trying to push on me, and I actually took out 3 guys. I
Yeah,
took
like
out 3 guys in front of me.
when you're getting hammered like that, I mean, it's a great little microcosm of life, right? Because
Yeah,
it's like when you are getting, spawn camped, right? We all know this feeling. Your team's rolled up on you, and your team can't do crap, and
yeah,
you're just gonna. Are you gonna be a sore loser or a whiner and sit there and just kind of like, well, I don't even know why I came today. I don't even know why I'm playing, and just
yeah,
storm off the field. Are you going to be the guys that are the guy or the guys that are trying to get everybody else like, hey, yeah, this sucks, but this is the time. This is why you're out here. This is the time to actually step up and try to play,
yeah,
right? And have a good game, regardless of what they're doing, because you're immediately just you're already defeating yourself, right? Of course you're getting
yeah,
spawn camp because you guys aren't doing anything. You're just sitting there letting it happen.
yeah.
Um,
You're
like,
frustrated.
do you want to be that guy? Like, yeah, of
Yeah,
course I'm frustrated, but you know what? Let's channel that frustration somewhere else versus being sad, sad sods on our, looking inward. So can you have
yeah,
that positive self-talk? It is really challenging, right?
yeah,
It's not an easy thing to do. And sometimes it does take like an individual or individuals to rally and try to pull the team up. But
yeah,
I've seen it go the other way. I mean, heck, the winter brawl you guys did, I was watching the scoring of that and I'm like thinking, there were probably moments during that where people were getting frustrated.
yeah,
And there had to be, you've told me that there were people that were like talking positive and like, you know what, we got to turn this around. Like we have work to do.
yeah,
It's just work that we got to do, guys. Like, yeah, we're down. It's okay. Um, so positive self-talk too. That's a really, I think, important part of somebody's character. Like, do they look for doom and gloom and do they make excuses, or are they trying to have a growth mindset of the situation and try to encourage others in their time of like despair? Um,
I
it's, a,
love self-talk. I
it's a
love
good way to
self-talk.
be.
I love self-talk. I mean, I I self-talk so much to myself because I have to keep telling myself in a positive image, you can do this. You can keep going. You can win this. And it's like that's that wolf spirit inside of me. It's like, dude, I gotta keep going. I can't just stop now. I
Yeah, and
can't too far.
use the success of others to power that energy, right?
Yeah,
Like when you see somebody else doing something, like I'm seeing you do this podcast platform, and it gives me a lot of energy for the community and like
yeah,
trying to pull the MagFed scene together and sharing like a really good message. Like your successes is everybody's success,
yeah,
and I think that we need more of that mentality than we need like trying to pick each other apart, right? We're all in the same space,
yeah.
trying to work towards the same thing. So
Yeah, it's all about feeding that growth. You have to continue to feed your spirit in order to keep going. And that's something that I had to realize for myself is I have to keep feeding my spirit in order to keep going, keep waking up, keep living in that positive moment. Yes, there's times where I'm frustrated. There's times where we're all frustrated, but that frustration can't stop me because I'm here. Like this is my time. This is me now. And this is what I try to tell people all the time. I say it's never about me. There's no I in my team.
yeah,
There's never no I in my team. I mean, yes, I in my name, but there's no I in my team. I'm always tell people, listen, I got you. If you show me that you want this as bad as you say you want it, show me. Show me and I got you. Because
and
you have to keep going.
everybody has a different style of like self-talk and having that growth
Yeah.
mindset, right? You and I both know guys that probably are real bravado. They're going to talk smack, but you know what? I like that sometimes. Like if that's how you channel your positive self-talk, that's fine,
Yeah.
right? As long as you're not like, berating people.
Yeah.
But um, that's a perfectly fine strategy, I think, like for talking yourself up and thinking, you're doing a good job, because you are. Um, it can be annoying. I think we've had guys on our team, that do the
Yeah.
machoism, or
Yeah.
they're mouthy, and that's okay. Like my dad was mouthy, so like I get it. I
Yeah.
understand where it comes from. I get that
Yeah.
energy, and you got to be playful with it. Get
Yeah.
friendly banter is sometimes really fun.
Yeah. I tell you the truth, I don't really talk trash on the field how I used to. Um, I don't know. It's just different now for me. I mean, I'm more of a. I mean, of course, I'm a big leader, so it's like people are definitely watching to see what you're doing, see what you got your mouth. And for me to have my own platform, it's like you definitely got to be careful on what you say out here, because
Yep.
people will hear that, and it's two things they can do. They can feed off of that, or they can sit there and look at you different. And that's something that I already experienced in my youth time, is both of those things. I experienced people looking at me different. I experienced people hearing what I'm saying, and they take it how they want to take it, and things escalate to a big situation. So you
Taking it the
know
wrong way.
yeah, and so for me, I had to learn how to channel that into a positive image instead of to a bad image. And so now I'm more careful on what I say and how I do.
I think
That's
there's
all part
something.
of growth.
Yep. There's something in there too about being a leader, or because you mentioned that, like being a leader, like you do get more quiet because you're observing. You're trying to see kind of what's going on. But being a leader, it's not a title that you choose for yourself, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is earned over time.
yeah.
It's there's equity there in the time spent with others, and the way that you've modeled that behavior for others, right?
It's funny, title, man. I never liked titles. I mean, you know, I just never gave myself a title. I look at it like I don't believe in titles. Like I just
Yeah.
believe in who I am. I'm meant to be a leader. So, that's what God gave me. He gave me that leadership role for a reason. So it's how I channel it. I can choose to channel it into a negative perspective or to a positive perspective. But I choose a positive perspective because people need to see that positiveness so they can be positive. Because if you're negative, then they're gonna feed off of that, and it's gonna turn them into being negative.
And
Like
nobody
that's
wants to be around that long term.
no,
Nobody wants to be around that. Yeah, you might have
no,
some followers on for a little bit, but
yeah.
that negative energy drains people, and they'll just get tired of it and move on.
There's actually a quote here I just thought about after saying that. Let me see if I can find it. It says here, where your focus goes, your energy flows. I'm
Yep.
gonna repeat that again. When your focus goes, your energy flows.
I feel like my mom probably has that in her house on a sign or something. It's like
And
one of
that's
those.
yeah. And that's
It,
and that's kind of where that comes from. It's just it's a reminder of me. Like,
it's totally true though,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You have finite number of hours every day to spend your energy on something. I
mm,
think there was a recently a interview with Jay-Z or something I saw, where he was like talking about people that were like haters. He's like,
yeah,
you have two types of people in the world. There are people that they love to see you succeed, and they're like, you know what, I want to be like that person, and I'm going to do the best I can to like try to model and do what they're doing. And then there's
yeah,
the type of people that are like, they try to make excuses for why they aren't where you're at. Like if you've had success, right? And they'll be looking at picking it apart. And he's like, if those people spend a lot more time on their own things, he's like, they clearly have like a really powerful brain, and they're like thinking about this stuff creatively. Like imagine where they'd be, right? And so if they're spending all that energy negatively, redirect it,
yeah,
put it into something that is it could be anything, right? You and I have talked about this. It could
yeah,
be exercise, it could be going spiritually, getting in touch with who you are, it could be writing, reading, any sort of hobby. But do something that's going to grow you or add to your collective, like again, like the character development. Collectively, are you getting better? Can you say at the end of the day, I learned a new skill, or I mentally I recharged, or somehow it was a beneficial day for you. Did you win the day?
Yeah. Mm.
Versus living in that negative place, like thinking and putting energy into the wrong things. Are you feeding your body right? That's another big one, right? Like,
Yeah.
because what we eat and our nutrients can definitely control like how we're feeling, what our mood is, right? Are you taking care of yourself that way?
Yeah.
This stuff adds up over time.
And you just reminded me of a quote in my head that I love to say to myself and to other people. Um, are you willing to break records or break? And the reason why I say that quote is because your character, you have a choice. You have a choice in life. You can let what stop you break you, or you can break that and see what the next step is. And just keep going up from there. Because if what you let break you, and I'm just speaking, if what you let break you, just imagine what someone else can do.
Yeah.
Someone can break you. And if that one thing breaks you to the point where you have no energy left, you can't even your energy is just taken away from you. It's like you're drained. Like you don't have no more energy for you to even try to like pull up. Like
Yep.
you're slowly trying to pull up slowly, but you come all the way back down again. It's like they broke you, right? And so the other one, when I look at break that record, it's like you have to know what you're doing. You have to know how to do it. And a lot of time we look at life and we're thinking, man, I have to keep going. I have to keep striving. If I don't stop, like I gotta break this record in order to see someone else. I'm sorry, in order for someone else to see what I'm doing. And so a prime example is, it can be a family curse. It could be, paintball, for example. It could be paintball. Someone just try to break that record on winning streaks. They're trying to win tournaments. They're trying to get the team no more. It could be so many things you could just be breaking a record from. But you gotta stay controlled. You gotta just keep going. You gotta stay intact with your character. And character is so important in today's world, because if you don't know what your character is, how do you expect to know who you are?
Yeah. What do you stand for? How can you
What are you
make
standing
how
for?
can you make how can you make decisions if you're
Yeah,
wavered and you change your opinion all the time, and you don't know again what you're kind of like standing behind and what you're trying to do, like what's your vision. We talked about this before the call kicked off today, right? Like
yeah,
plan the work, but then work the plan.
yeah,
And that plan's going to change weekly, daily, right? Like hell, what I had planned earlier this week didn't happen, right? We were talking about that. Like I
yeah,
got more responsibilities at work.
yeah,
That was a surprise to me. But
yeah,
it's an opportunity to build character, and like how will I rise to that occasion? Will I just like sulk in it and complain, or will I do my best until, that's not needed anymore? And I think um yeah, just like framing it that way, and being aware of it is such a big thing too, right? Like being aware, and just like even having the being able to be self-aware about like this is a moment of challenge for me. What am I
yeah,
going to choose?
yeah,
Which path do I want to go down?
yeah,
How is it making me feel? Like how is my energy with this? Did I channel it into something that's making me feel good and growing? Like I know when I get frustrated sometimes it's because I know that I haven't been able to go do my workout, right? It could be something as simple as go moving your body. I think people downplay that, like how important that is to like just feeling good, getting out and playing, whatever it is, if it's weightlifting or running or, whatever you want to do, swimming, yoga, right? Getting in touch with your physical body can also be like a really huge tool for stress, relief and development.
yeah,
Um, can you be aware of all that stuff, right? Be self-aware about how you can regulate your own stress. Be self-aware about when it's almost like a video game, right? I think you and I both played video games, probably like our RPGs, where
yeah,
it has the dialogue options and
yeah,
it shows you what the consequences of the actions are. I always think
yeah,
about that, like
yeah,
playing Fallout
yeah,
or like any of like Mass Effect games. It's like, well, if I choose this option, shit, my reputation is going to go in the tank or whatever.
yeah,
Like can the sum of those things throughout the day level you up? Like, is
Yeah.
your character leveling up?
Mm.
And are you what are you spending your points on? What are you dumping them into? You know, where the focus goes, the energy flows. That type of thing.
And you know what? It's a movie I just thought about, Black Adam. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a prime example of uh, where you where your focus go, your energy flows. And so, you know, of course, he was from what's that place called? Conduct, I believe.
Yeah,
I
I
believe it's
think
called
so.
Conduct. And I'll never forget, you know, the background story of, you know, of course, he was a slave and his son was a champion, but his son gave him, you know, his powers and everything, right? And so when he came out, you know, after 5,000 years of being in prison, when he was released, you know, this man had a choice. He had a choice to destroy the world or be a savior, right? And so we look at where we're at and we say, you know what? Do I really want to put my focus here? Like, do I really want to like do I really want to be here? Right. And so
Mm-hmm.
he didn't know at first what he wanted to live for. He was like, man, like I'm already past my time. Like I've been asleep for too long. Like, what am I going to do?
That
Right.
world that I lived in no longer exists. Yeah, it's all gone.
Exactly. And it's like my character is what? Like my job is done basically. Like I already destroyed. I got my revenge. And it's crazy. The question that was said to him, which I kind of said earlier, was you can choose to be the destroyer of this world or be its savior. And so we think about that. You have two choices in your life. You can choose to live, to exist, or you can choose to be in the shadow and not even look forward to what's coming to you, you know, in life. You know, and I'm saying that as in
Yep.
you have a choice to you have a choice to do so many things in this world, but you have to put your mind to it. You can't just waste it. You know, where will your focus go? Like, will your focus be able to help you find what you've been looking for? You know,
Mm-hmm.
will that energy channel in something great? And so for me, I just look at that and I'm always reminding myself each and every day, each and every day on why I'm still here, on why I'm still living, on why I'm doing this as a purpose, you know, podcast, you know, speaking engagements. You know, I'm reminding myself because people need me. You know, people hear my voice all the time. People either hear my voice or I can put up a quote on Instagram, Facebook, and someone is reading that and they're
You don't know,
responding.
and you don't know like what the
Yeah,
ripples of that will be. It's like throwing a
yeah,
rock or a pebble in a pond. Or it may feel like a pebble, but it could have
yeah,
huge. It could have a huge
yeah,
repercussion for somebody or impact on somebody that you just don't know. And I think that that's part of like serendipity. And like, you know, if you're living your life as like a serendipity vehicle, and when I say that, it's like, are you amplifying your energy to the rest of the people around you in a positive way?
no,
And every single person you bumping into, think about them as dominoes, right? Are they pushing the way of positivity, or are they dumping in towards you in a wave of, you know, negativity? Um, and like Black Adam, I think I love that you brought that up, because it's like, you know, metaphorically, his energy, right?
yeah,
If his energy is positive and exuberant of light and like goodness, how
yeah,
different would that be, right? Versus being dark and, you know, turning inward. So yeah,
yeah,
and yeah, it's like a life well lived. And going backwards, both of us, you know, lost our fathers. And if you think about the eulogy, the things that people talk about, and I've been to so many, unfortunately, I've been to a lot of funerals. The things that people talk about are how they impacted their lives. Like the people that they lost, how did they touch them? How were they a powerful character or figure? What are the
yeah,
things they remember? It's always, you know, with my dad, it was always like, you know, Tony, he always, you know, would organize, you know, backyard football, and we had such a good time. You know, that people think of the good times and the positive energy, and like whether he was a good teacher or whatever it may be. Um, think about, yeah, yourself. Like, what if you weren't doing that? What if you weren't going out in the community and talking and you know, kind of work backwards from what you would want people
yeah,
think about you when you're gone, and what type of character are you when you're no longer here, right? Um, it kind of puts it into perspective a little bit.
You know what? It's funny you say that. I used to ask myself, if my dad was still alive, would I be the man I am today? And to answer that question for you, because it took me a while to really put that into a perspective and really just listen to what I just said to myself. And honestly, no, I want to become the man I am today because of him. You know, I think it would took me a lot longer to process, a lot longer to get where I'm at, and it probably took me until my 30s to realize that. You know, I'm only
Mm-hmm.
25, so when he passed, I was 19 years old, and that's when that happened. But there's a quote that actually I took notes of a few years back that made me look at and realize my perspective and my father as well. And the quote is this: blessings don't come to you, blessings flow through you. I'm repeat that again. Blessings don't come to you, blessings flow through you. And so my father had blessings already inside of him that he allowed to flow through me and my
Yeah.
siblings, of course. And so one of those blessings was a voice to the people, and I was always quiet. I had a bad stuttering problem when I was younger. I did not like talking to nobody.
You wouldn't be thinking you'd be doing a podcast or a show.
Not in a million years I would be doing this. And it's funny when he passed. That's kind of when I had to really develop myself more. I had to really find who I am and find my character. But really, it wasn't about finding my character. It was all about building my character. And so he already had that seed planted inside of me. I just had to sow it. I had to let it grow.
When I love that you said it like that, because I think it's the same thing for me. You and I wouldn't be talking today had our dads not passed away,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like the blessing has flowed from them down to us, and now we have to do something with that positive energy. Um,
yeah,
and I think that's like just crazy to think about. If you would have had the shadow of that person in your life, this person that you looked up to a lot and maybe developed or taken a lot of cues from, would it have made things easier?
yeah,
You would have never have had that adversity and that like moment of challenge that actually developed you into the character you are, right?
yeah,
Like we just said that at the beginning of this. Bad things have to happen to you sometimes to develop true character. Just like heating up a piece of steel to bend it, right? You're not going to bend that steel by just keeping it cold. If you do, it's going to snap.
yeah,
So you got to be put in the fire a little bit to be bent into shape. And I think I love
yeah,
the blessings kind of flow through you versus just like happening to you. Because if it was a blessing, it'd be like, well, they'd still be around,
yeah,
and everything would be happening for us just perfectly how we want. And you and I
yeah,
both know that's complete bullshit and does not happen.
yeah,
Bad things happen to us every day, little bad things and big bad things.
yeah.
Um, so
It's like adversity. The adversity haven't hit you yet. Certain people it just haven't hit. For me to be in that stage, adversity didn't hit me. It didn't hit me anytime soon. If he was still alive, adversity would not hit me.
yeah,
But the moment he passed, that's when adversity hit me. That's when I had to go through that trials and tribulation in life.
it's like, are you going to grow into from being the seed that you talked about into a big? Maybe you're a tree that has limbs cut off of it and scars on it, but you're
Yeah,
a damn tough tree. And you
yeah,
can still grow just as tall as any other tree, right? And
yeah,
have it just as much shade cover. I think about that all the time. It's like, are you going to
yeah,
be a big walnut or an oak that
yeah,
has leaves reaching out everything everywhere, covering people up, taking care of them?
yeah,
When the storm's coming, people get underneath the tree, right? And I think that you can be that type of person and that type of character where folks want to clamor to you and come to you in times of adversity or sadness, and you can help them weather the storm because you've grown enough to be able to do that, right? You've
yeah,
grown enough to let people walk underneath your shade and take cover and refuge underneath your tree. um, and it all comes from that seed of adversity, right?
yeah.
How are we growing every day? How are you and I reaching towards the sunlight, right?
Mm,
Are we choosing that
mm.
every day? I know that I try to. I try to remain positive and reach for the sunlight and the good
Man, I'm
and
always
kind of
reaching for that sky.
yeah.
I'm reaching every day for that sky, man. It every single day I wake up and ask myself, why am I here? You know, it's like I'm here for one purpose. That's to help every person on this earth. If not every, but at least most,
As many as you can.
as many as you can. That's exactly right. As many as I can. You know, and it's always about that impact. Like that impact is so important in life because, like I said earlier, you just never know who's watching you to see if you're going to stay true to your character or fail. And if you fail, then they're not going to look at you like, "Oh man, you ain't gonna win this." Nah, I can't support that. You failed, and so character comes into play. You have to be intact with your character, like your character. Not saying it has to be on point, but you have to understand like what life is doing to you. Like life is showing you something.
Yeah.
Life is trying to hit you somewhere. It's like you got to find it and work with it.
Have your backbone. Like, what do you stand for?
Yeah, what do
It
you
could be
stand
one
for?
word. Like stand for love. Like, stand for being kind to
Yeah,
everyone and understanding they all are in this really difficult world. Like, the world is harsh and hard. We have a
yeah,
lot of things that make us get despondent, or we can focus on, be there's escapism, right? That's huge, right? Like, yeah, you escape into your digital worlds and everything feels good, but that only lasts. It's fleeting.
yeah.
What do
It's
you stand
crazy.
for?
It's crazy you say that. I remember 2021. That was the first time I started studying, one word a year. And my first word was I was studying. I think I was studying wisdom. I was studying wisdom in 2021. 2022, I was studying strength. I was studying strength. And 2023, which is this year, I'm studying love. And the reason why I say love because love, man, love is deep. And it's gonna be times where you're gonna feel like there's no love. You
Yeah.
know, you're gonna feel like that frustration of love is just it's so frustrating. Like you don't know if you can even deal with it any longer. And we all been there. I'm sure we're all been there, or we're getting there, or it just haven't hit us yet. But it's funny. It's just you have to just work with it. You have to try to figure it out. Like you have to try to find what true love is. And for me, true love is loving someone on this earth that God gave you.
I'd be interested to know, like you said that you studied, wisdom, strength, and love,
Yeah.
but it's like, isn't like really understanding love and like embodying it really strength, the ultimate strength?
Yeah,
You
like
know, like
I know
it
strength
sounds
was my hardest
counterintuitive.
one. Yeah, that was the hardest one with strength. I feel like only because you're being tested. At jobs, you're being tested everywhere. Paintball community feels like you're always being tested somewhere, and so you have to find your strength. I mean, your weakness is always going to show, but your strength is what carries you out.
Sorry, I was dying there. I had a coffee go down the wrong hole.
Oh
Um,
man, oh man. Hope you good. You good over there?
yeah, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't need that. I think you're on mute. Oh, okay, good now.
Yep.
But yeah, strength was probably my biggest test. I feel like, or one of my biggest tests so far was strength. But you're
Yeah, and
being tested always, always being tested.
as little boys too, like men in general, when we're boys, we're taught like, yo, you need to be strong, right? And what does that mean? And there's certain ways like to model that. And
Yeah,
so I have two daughters, and you start to see it like when you have your own kids, you'll be like, well, the world definitely like silos people, the genders into learning about specific character traits. And I think
mm,
that's unfortunate because there's like a lot of things for boys to learn in regards to, thinking about love, not just like cutesy, like, oh, I love you type of thing, but just like taking care of others.
Yeah.
being kind to others, being able to know how to express yourself instead of expressing yourself and lashing out at people, being able to talk through it. And I think that's where, there's some work in our society to like talk about how that stuff um, is more equal across both genders, teaching boys that it's okay to be vulnerable or be, what's considered long time, soft. Um, those are really important skills to have, like being empathetic, being able to like talk through your feelings instead of just getting all ragey, right? And acting on it through rage and what we think is strength, which is false bravado, right? Like false strength.
There's actually a story I heard a few months ago. Actually, I kind of find it interesting now that we're talking about this. Um, the story was there was a young kid. He's home all the time. It's like he's always just doing his homework, playing the game. He eats. Of course, his father works. And so one day he asked his father, he said, "Dad, why do you always work?" So his dad was frustrated. His dad was like, "I work because I have to put food on the table and clothes on your back. I got to pay the bills." And he was like, "Why you asking me this question?" And he was frustrated with him when he said that. And so, he said no reason. And so the next day, the father comes home. He's tired. He sits on his couch and he's tired. And the son said, "Hey, Dad, can you give me $15? I need $15." And so Dad gave it to him without even a question because he was so tired. But then 5 minutes later, he asked, "Man, why you take my money?" He said, "Let's see what he's doing." And so the kid goes into his room, and his dad walks in there, and his dad sees that he has money like in his box, and he was like, "What's he my money for?" And so as the kid was counting his money, because the dad said he makes $50 an hour, and I think he worked like 50 hours like a week. So his dad, so the son says, so his son was counting all this money. And so when he counted all the money, he actually had $50 in his hands. And he said, "Can I get some of that time?
Yeah.
Like you're working all the time." And it's like, I don't know who my dad is. And his dad was just shocked when he said that. He was like, "Dang, I didn't know it was that deep. You know, I thought I was just, paying the bill and doing what I can for you." He was like, "I understand that you have to work as a man, but what about our relationship?
You
What
get
about us going out?"
you get little windows of time here and there,
Yeah,
right? Like we're
yeah,
asked to work 8 to 10, maybe,
yeah,
if you're working all the time, like 15 hours a day, and you're supposed to do everything else in your life, right? You're supposed to work out, you're supposed to eat
yeah,
dinner, you're supposed to do your laundry,
yeah,
have, some relaxing time. And then, yeah, once you have children, it's like you got to figure out how are you going to accumulate moments to build your children's character and take care of them, make sure they know who you are.
yeah. And it just comes back to what I said. Like, you just never know who's watching you. And I felt like the son was watching his father, and I feel like his son had a moment where he said, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to break like that. I want to break that record. I want to break that curse." And so there's a quote I actually want to read that makes a lot of sense. It says here, "The man that views the world at 40, same way he views the world at 20, has wasted 20 years of his life." And
Yep.
that quote, it just hits home run right there. It makes 100% sense because it's like, why do we sit here and waste time? Like,
Absolutely, man. Why
we
do
have
we?
we have a family, family comes first, right? Family first. And I always feel like a man should always teach his son the proper right things, At least show him the right way, not show him your way. Because your way just might get him into a worse condition than you're in. And that's what, sets up everything. And it messes up culture, relationship, it messes up family, it messes up so much. And I believe they call it nowadays generational curse.
Yeah. Yeah,
Generational
and
curse.
there's big talk about like how can you break generational curses? Well, again, the first part of that just even being aware of it. Second part of it is not falling into the trap of trying to necessarily just course correct and do everything opposite of what happened in the past, right? Because I think there's a quote somewhere in there from what's the name of that movie? It's the Panda movie where he's fighting. He says
Yeah.
something about like
Yeah.
oftentimes we meet our fate in the path that we try to avoid it, right?
Yeah.
Like we literally end up where we don't want to go because we're trying to avoid it. Like we're aiming the opposite direction, and for some reason, fate is gonna like deliver us the same results. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
forget.
that's right. Because the panda.
Like they're like,
Yeah.
don't send the message, and then
Yeah.
the messenger bird goes there, and like the fucking crazy lion breaks out of the prison because
Yeah.
he had that piece of paper. Like
Yeah.
they literally let him out of the prison because they
Yeah.
flew there. But anyways, yeah, like that
Wow,
always
that's actually
sticks
a
with
great
me.
story.
It's like
That's a great story right
one
there.
often meets the path they don't want to meet by
But you know what? It's funny because the master was like a father to him. He took care of him as he can. He trained him, did what he could. But the other master saw him as a monster. He
yeah.
didn't see him as a hero. He didn't look at him as a leader. And it's crazy that we're talking about this because it kind of reminds you of a story that I just said. You want to try to break that curse. You want to try to take someone, try to lead them into a different direction, because if you lead them into the same direction you're in, they could be your worst enemy, tell you the truth, or they can be what you call your worst version.
Yep.
And that's what are you frozen? I think you're
Can
frozen.
you still hear me?
Well, I hear you, I just can't see you. It's like the screen is frozen.
Yeah,
But yeah,
my Google Chrome definitely froze because it's just like beach balling right now. So
I was wondering. Well, yeah, it just makes you think about purpose. Makes you think about generational curse, and it makes you think about changing that cycle. Going a different route than what your father did. And my father always told me, whatever you do, don't walk into my footsteps. You know, be better, learn more, do more, keep learning. It's, the more you keep learning, the more things will come to you, and opportunity will present itself.
1000%.
Yeah,
Create that serendipity vehicle. Make those lottery tickets and try to just expand your energy and see
yeah,
where it leads you.
sir. I got one more question for you, guy. It's 6:11. I just look at the time. Um, and this last question always go to people that I talk about on my podcast. But what's one thing or multiple things that you can say to someone right now who's watching this podcast, who maybe looking for guidance, maybe looking for hope, maybe looking for wisdom, or maybe looking just to for a leader, so they can lead in the right direction. What can you say to someone who needs that right now, who's looking to get into paintball, who's looking to better their life, better their lifestyle, that's looking forward to just becoming the best version of them?
Oh wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, yeah.
I think for me, over the last couple of years, I've had a lot of personal challenges,
Mm,
and I always felt like I was really strong and I could manage that stress on my own, and I could shoulder a lot of it and work through it with things like distractions, playing video games, or working out. But it come to find out, I'd always come back to having the same problems, or they'd still be there confronting me. And I think the best thing I did was I actually got a therapist, and I have somebody to talk to now. And I think that person can be anybody in your life. It could be, again, for me, it would have traditionally been my father. But for some people, it could be a grandpa or grandma.
yeah,
It could be a friend. And I think if you don't have somebody like that, don't be afraid to try to stretch across the aisle with somebody that maybe you're an accomplice with, or because you never know what type of friend they're going to turn into and what type of confidant. And so I think really just being vulnerable, finding somebody that you can talk through your problems with is really powerful.
yeah,
Um, and don't be afraid to, if there's a community out there that's welcoming, don't be afraid to get involved with it, because I think there's a lot of people who have the best intentions, right? Like you and I, like I will talk to anybody. and try to help out. So,
Mm.
and then just try to do the right thing. Like if you're in a negative headspace or you're having a hard time, like
Yeah.
along with reaching out to somebody, try to just do the right thing for you. One small step. Don't try to do it all at once. It's just like, losing weight. It's like, don't try to go to the gym and start cleaning up your eating and, run 100 miles a week. It's like, how about you just start trying to walk more every day? Go walk for
Mm.
30 minutes. Do something small. Don't change anything else. Just one thing at a time. Um, start small, build the
Yeah.
habit, and then go from there. So that's it.
Mm.
That's what I had.
Man, that was deep, man. I gotta take notes of that. I actually got that all in my head now. So you know what? I think I'm write that down right now. Matter of fact.
I think
Wow, that was amazing.
Yeah, like I said, it really does help. It really has helped me. Somebody outside of my world that doesn't know anything about me, that I can just kind of spill all of my world's problems on, and they can give me a lot of perspective. About um, people outside of my community. They don't have
Yeah.
any sort of invested interest, so they can give good advice or they can talk to you in a deeper way. So that's it.
Yeah, I love that, bro. This was a great podcast, man. I don't want to hold you up for too long because I know you got great to go, and I do too. That was powerful. That was deep. If you could just tell everybody, where they can find you at, where they can look for you at, on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, um, where you're located at, and the
Yeah.
fields you play on as well.
So I think I mentioned at the beginning, but we're based in Indiana, central Indiana, Indianapolis area. So if you're somebody, Illinois, Ohio, really anybody, anywhere within, 150 miles of Indianapolis, come play with us sometime. You can find us on Facebook. It's just really easy. It's Coyote Force, coyoteforce.com. We have a Discord group as well where all the guys hang out and chat. So you can get in there and see gear and guns and all the cool stuff that we're doing. Um, yeah, and if you want to find us, we try to make it every month. We try to go to the MagFed only games. So we try to support the MagFed Pro Shop and everything that they're doing there, trying to keep the MagFed scene growing and alive. So we love playing. So reach out to us. We have a lot of equipment. I try to bring people along. If you want to try the game and you've never done it before, you don't have to bring anything but a good pair of boots. So we have everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. And trust me, we will be there at 0 hour this year. Actually, I think
That's
I
right.
believe it's in May. Actually, in May. Yeah, I believe it's in May. Definitely will be there as well. So if you haven't registered yet, register for the blue team. I will be on the blue team, representing the blue team. Um,
I think we're going red. So, but
ah,
it'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be
oh
fun.
man, I would love to have you on the blue team, brother. I won't shoot you though.
Yeah, shoot me. By
If
all
I
means.
do, I'm gonna aim. I'm gonna aim for the chest, man. I won't give you a headshot. I aim too many headshots, man. But my headshots be on point. I'll go for the chest, man.
No, you can shoot me anywhere. It's fine. I'm fine with it.
Well, it was great having you on my podcast, man. I definitely feel like we should run this back for part two. I feel like that would be so dope for the MagFed community and for the paintball world as well. Definitely looking forward to seeing you soon, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me, man.
Definitely can't wait. Definitely can't wait, brother. But you take care, man. You and your family. Happy New Year as well to you and your team, your family. And I'll see you soon, brother.
You will. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody else, guys, take care. Other than that, next podcast will be, I believe, next Tuesday with Nightmare Paintball. So stay tuned for that. That should be another dope podcast as well. Me and him will be going live stream, or live actually tomorrow around 1:30, I want to say. So looking forward to that as well. Have a great
Thank
night,
you.
everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, man. See you.